如果你们谁不爽的话，
戴着口罩干什么？这么多人过来干什么？
Due to the ongoing trade war between the US and China and the continued economic downturn, there have been multiple protests across China recently. On the early morning of May 7th, over 1,000 villagers in Guang'ao Village, Shantou City, Guangdong Province, blocked roads to protect their rights. They were protesting the local government's forcible removal of fishing boats parked in a sheltered bay. The protest was suppressed by a large number of fully armed police, leading to physical clashes and several villagers being arrested. The incident originated in October 2024, when the Guang'ao Community Committee privately sold the Jiang Typhoon Shelter and demanded that villagers move all fishing boats that were parked there. Guang'ao Village has a front typhoon shelter where villagers park their fishing boats, and in 2019, a back typhoon shelter was built. However, the back shelter was not built according to the approved plan. It has weak typhoon sheltering capabilities and contains many reefs, posing safety issues. Additionally, it cannot accommodate all the village's more than 600 fishing boats. The front shelter is widely recognized by villagers as a high-quality, safe shelter. It has withstood typhoons of over level 10. And boats parked there remained safe. For over a decade, villagers have been unwilling to move their fishing boats from the front typhoon shelter. The situation escalated on May 6th, when the local government sent large trucks to forcibly remove the boats. Villagers continued to block the roads until around 4 a.m. on May 7th, when a group of riot police dispersed them. The clash resulted in injuries and arrests. In addition to the boat issue, villagers expressed dissatisfaction with the sale of land over the past decade. There was no transparency about who bought it or where the proceeds went. Villagers have not received any dividends, which led to the eruption of discontent. All in all, 1,000 to 2,000 villagers blocked the roads. On May 7th, 4 other protests occurred in rural China. In Jiangxi Province's Jiaotang Township, villagers protested against the local government's use of mountain land for construction. They used their bodies to block construction vehicles, but they were forcibly removed by government personnel. Despite their efforts, the construction continued and was quickly suppressed under strict information control. A similar situation took place in Shiliutai Village, Shanxi Province. To protect their land, villagers used their bodies to block bulldozers. One villager was violently treated by police, who twisted their arms for an extended period. According to villagers, the land had been purchased from the government in 2011 by over 400 households for more than 10 million yuan. The purpose was to build houses. Recently, however, the local government sold the land again to a logistics company, sparking months of protests. In Lingnan County, Guangxi Province, villagers in Chating Village blocked bulldozers to protect their water source, which they depend on for survival. The local government plans to install wind turbines on the mountain, and the villagers fear it will destroy the ecosystem and pollute the water source. Protests have been ongoing since March and continue to this day. In Guangxi's Guigang City, villagers from the Mao'er Mountain and Kunshan Village took more extreme measures to resist. Armed with sticks and steel pipes, they confronted heavily armed police late into the night to prevent government-approved quarry teams from entering their village. The villagers were concerned that the quarrying activities would damage the mountains and pollute the environment. On the evening of May 9th, hundreds of homeowners from the Wankang Blue Mountain community in Changsha's Yuhui district, Hunan, launched a protest. They blocked traffic on Huanggu Road and faced off against a large number of stability maintenance police until the early morning. The protesting homeowners demanded that the local government move the planned high-voltage power lines at the entrance of the community underground instead of erecting power towers. On May 6, in Yibin's Junlian County, Sichuan, hundreds of passenger tricycle drivers gathered at Yuhu Park to protest the county government's ban on passenger tricycles. On the evening of May 8th, hundreds of passenger tricycles gathered again on the streets of Junlian County, Yibin. They surrounded a transport management vehicle to show strong dissatisfaction with the county's new ban on passenger tricycles. The trigger for the protest was when transport management officials seized an operating tricycle and demanded a fine of 10,000 yuan from the owner. The high fine caused the owner to break down emotionally, and they sat in the middle of the road, blocking traffic in protest. The driver quickly gained support from other tricycle owners and some citizens. The crowd surrounded the transport management officials and their vehicle, loudly expressing their dissatisfaction with the new policy. The protest lasted for about 2 hours before the crowd was dispersed by a large number of police. Some online users pointed out that in such places, passenger tricycles earn at most a few dozen yuan a day, but the fine was 10,000 yuan, which they felt was outrageous. Many believe that the farmers had long been oppressed, and this situation is bound to lead to more serious conflicts. From March 31st to April 4th, employees at a 4-star hotel in Shenzhen, Guangdong, held a 5-day protest in the hotel lobby, demanding unpaid wages and protesting the unilateral termination of their labor contracts. According to the employees, the hotel's owner unilaterally terminated labor contracts of 200 employees after selling the hotel, without giving them any compensation. Some employees still hadn't received their 3 months' worth of wages. On March 31st, the employees started their protest, gathering in the hotel lobby and chanting slogans. During the protest, the hotel owner cut off power to the employees' dormitories and prevented them from eating in the cafeteria. The employees' posts on social media were also deleted. On May 9th, due to unpaid wages, over 1,000 construction workers from 3 projects under China State Construction Shenzhen went on strike. Some online users commented, "China State Construction nearly has all the real estate and construction projects in the city, but they can't even pay wages?" Others remarked, "The building in Thailand collapsing was a wake-up call. China State Construction won't get any projects abroad, and they'll keep asking for more money at home." On April 30th, in Heze, Shandong, an elderly woman sat on the ground crying uncontrollably. She had just learned that over 2 million yuan from her account at China Construction Bank had disappeared. This money had been compensation for her husband's lost leg in a car accident and her son's compensation after falling from a height. On April 29th, in Danzhou, Hainan, dozens of female villagers rang war drums and blocked the road to prevent a police-escorted photovoltaic installation team from entering. The issue started when a village bully used forged signatures to sell land in Beifang village. After the land was sold for pig farming, its use was suddenly changed to install photovoltaic panels, sparking the villagers' dissatisfaction and leading to collective protest. They set up tents on the land, worshipped idols, and posted warning signs on power poles. On the same day, upon hearing that the installation team would be escorted by police into the village, dozens of women gathered at the village entrance and sounded the war drums as the team arrived. A confrontation broke out. The police used pepper spray, injuring one woman. The villagers then surrounded one of the police officers and managed to stop the installation. One online user commented, "The communist regime turns fertile land into concrete jungles, lays photovoltaic panels, and forces people to change steep slopes into terraced rice paddies. Only a regime like this can continuously repeat such inhumane and anti-intellectual actions for decades." Another user said, "It's not about the photo panels. It's about who is seizing the land and supporting the village bully. Land is the lifeblood of farmers, not something for capitalists to exploit." On the afternoon and evening of April 30th, hundreds of villagers in Luoxiang village, Guangzhou, surrounded the Huadu District Education Bureau. They protested the local government's broken promises. According to villagers, the issue started when the Luoxian Village Committee sold the villagers' reserved land to build a school campus without their consent. At the time, the local government had publicly promised that students with household registrations in Luoxian Village would have priority for admission. However, now students from surrounding properties can attend the school, but the children of Luo village cannot. As a result, villagers began their protest on April 29th, marching to the village committee and street office. On April 21st, in Yuyao City, Zhejiang, over 100 elderly people gathered in front of the Shunchen Group to demand their investment funds. 3 days earlier, Shunchen Group subsidiary Xianghong Senior Apartment Investment Company collapsed, and its legal representatives fled. On April 28th, investors continued to protest, blocking traffic in front of the group's office. From April 24th to 26th, owners of an apartment community in Urumqi, Xinjiang, held 3 consecutive days of protests in their neighborhood. Their complaint was about airport noise disturbance. The protests were triggered by the airport's expansion, which led to planes flying low over the community every 5 minutes starting on April 17th. Angry residents asked, "What should we do if we can't sleep, can't work, and have heart problems because of this?" On April 15th, 3 giant anti-communist slogans appeared on an overpass in downtown Chengdu. According to sources, the police responded slowly to the incident, which has shocked the highest levels of the Chinese government. The 3 banners, displayed outside the Chengdu Chadianzi bus station, read, "Without political system reform, there is no national rejuvenation. The people do not need an unconstrained political party. China does not need anyone to point the way. Democracy is the way." The writing was clearly visible under the streetlights at night. Australian legal scholar Yuan Hongbing cited inside sources who said the banners hung for nearly 3 hours before being removed. What truly shocked the Chinese Communist Party was not just the content of the banners, but the sluggish reaction of the entire stability maintenance system. Yuan stated, "These banners were hung in a very busy area, but for 2 hours no one reported the incident." 2 hours after the banners were hung, a patrol officer on routine duty discovered them and immediately reported it to higher authorities. What was even more shocking was that the authorities did not instruct the officer to remove the banners immediately, but instead asked him to preserve evidence and protect the site. As a result, the banners remained up for another 30 to 40 minutes, almost 3 hours in total, before being removed. For years, the Chinese Communist Party has invested huge sums to build an all-encompassing stability maintenance system, with street surveillance, internet censorship, and police deployment everywhere. However, with hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras across the country, none were able to capture this anomaly in time. The slow response from the police highlights paralysis within the system. Yuan Hongbing emphasized, "This shows that the entire CCP stability maintenance system is ineffective. Even the police's response is strange. The CCP leadership suspects that many double-faced individuals and even those lying flat and neglecting their duties have infiltrated the system." It's reported that this incident directly caught the attention of General Secretary Xi Jinping, and the case has been handed over to a joint investigation by the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Ministry of State Security's Secret Police. The Ministry of Public Security was completely excluded from the investigation, showing the CCP's leadership loss of confidence in the public security system. One netizen commented that while mainland China may appear normal on the surface, the common people largely feel anxious, exhausted, and numb. But for those in power, the whole society resembles a powder keg, ready to explode at any moment. On the heels of the May Day holiday, several TikTok influencers posted videos noting that Beijing's subway had suddenly upgraded its security checks. During peak hours, all bags, whether large or small, must go through security, causing large crowds and delays. Many influencers complained that the strict security checks were delaying their commute. One user said, "There are so many people with dense bags going through security. The Beijing subway now feels like it's preparing for the apocalypse." Another joked, "Today you don't need your feet to touch the ground in the subway car." In the comment section, many Beijing residents expressed frustration. "It seems to be a new rule. It's so strict these days. No matter the size of your bag, you must go through security. It's ridiculous." And "I just went through it. Any bag, even if it's empty, has to go through security." One Beijing resident shared their experience. "Today, security stopped me with just a loaf of bread, insisting I go through security." A young influencer criticized the government's actions.
我每天穿梭在北京的地铁，看到那些年轻的安检人员，真的替他们感到悲哀。
I commute daily in Beijing's subway and feel sorry for the young security staff. I think subway security checks are unnecessary. Why? Security checks are for safety, to prevent extreme crimes. The security level should match the threat level. What do we need for the subway? A person determined to harm society could easily hide a weapon in their coat or bag. With the current security system, which doesn't involve body searches, it's nearly impossible to stop determined criminals. Some people say that subway security only prevents good people, not bad ones.
He continued, "Even with the increased security levels, criminals can still carry out attacks in crowded places during peak hours. Due to the delays caused by security checks, there are traffic jams outside the stations. A criminal doesn't need to force their way into the subway station. The area outside any subway station can be a crime scene. The subway is the most important public transportation for efficient movement in a city, and high-level security checks kill efficiency and defeats the whole point." On the other hand, there's the cost of security checks. In 2023, media outlets released a financial report of Beijing's subway system for 2022. It revealed that approximately 10% of its expenditure, about 1.6 billion yuan, was allocated to security check costs, including the salaries of security staff and equipment. Currently, there are around 19,000 subway entrances in the country. Based on the calculation of 3 security personnel per entrance per shift, plus rotation, training, and management, the number of subway security officers in the country is about 200,000. They are paid salaries, social security, and use equipment, and the annual cost potentially over 20 billion yuan. These figures are just conservative public estimates. The actual cost could be much higher. The most crucial point is that the majority of security personnel are young people who have just entered society. There are many things they could be doing, such as working in cities, delivering food, delivering packages, or working as waiters in restaurants, which are all more productive than standing there every day, acting as a motionless security machine. Netizens point out that China's economy is currently facing multiple challenges, including foreign trade, employment, food security, and the real estate market. Businesses are struggling, with cash flow problems and frequent issues with unpaid wages. The Chinese Communist Party is unable to resolve these problems and can only delay through high-pressure stability maintenance measures. The increasing number of protests against the authorities' policies highlights the chaos and loss of control in the government's top-down policies. Ultimately, these are signs of the regime's impending collapse.